I think it would be really important to have people in power that genuinely want to make a change and understand the importance of doing so. My name's Ida, I'm 16 years old.
I'm Lily, I'm 15, and I've lived in Cornwall all my life.
I've been involved with Fridays for Future and the youth climate strike movement for a couple of years now.
I started protesting exactly 2 years ago. A couple of weeks ago, me and Ida, we interviewed George Eustice, the Environment Minister.
I don't think your audio is working.
And it was really eye-opening to see that the government really believes that they're doing enough, and I don't think that they are.
Hello, can you hear me now?
Yeah, that's great.
Good.
There's a lot of talk and not much actual action.
What legislation and acts in Parliament have you publicly supported surrounding climate change in recent years? Because there was the Climate and Nature Emergency Impact Statement on the 29th of September 2020, which you voted not to require. Why did you vote against that bill, and have you voted against other bills similar?
Look, we've got the Climate Change Act of 2010, which established the Climate Change Committee, and they made a series of recommendations, including a recommendation on our target for Carbon Budget 6. So that's the framework that we've got in place, and there isn't really a need for additional reporting beyond that, in our view, because that's the framework that we've got.
When climate change becomes irreversible in 11 years' time, it's not something that we can sort out by the time our generation are old enough to sort the problems out.
You've talked a lot about this Carbon Budget 6, but is that 2037? Did you say?
It's Carbon Budget 6, I think, is between 2032 and 2037.
But that's not for another 12 years' time. And I've mentioned that it says climate change is going to be irreversible in 11 years' time.
The government seem really happy with the bill that they've got now, and he said himself that he doesn't think they need any new legislation.
We don't really need new legislation. What we need is to maintain the trajectory to deliver the legislation that we've got in place.
So you're saying that you're not in need of any new legislation. Everything that you've got now is fine, even though that we're still on track for catastrophic change.
The government seems to have a lot of pre-prepared answers for the questions that our generation are asking them, and I think it would be really important to have people in power that genuinely want to make a change and understand the importance of doing so. With the upcoming CEE bill, the Climate and Ecological Emergency Bill, are you going to back this bill in Parliament?
I haven't seen that particular bill, but so I don't know what it's proposing.
When we spoke to George Eustice, he had never even heard of the CEE bill.
The CEE bill is the next big step forwards in terms of introducing new legislation and increasing efforts to combat climate change in Parliament for this year. Caroline Lucas tabled it in Parliament and was supported by 20 MPs from a number of political parties. So this bill has been out there available to the public for about a year, and it's been through Parliament and things. So why have you not heard of or read the bill, being the Environment Minister?
I haven't. So, tell me about the bill. Perhaps you can tell me what the bill tries to do that we don't already have in place.
The CEE bill, it has more ambitious targets.
So the CEE bill is a serious plan to deal with the UK's fair share of emissions and to halt critical rises in global temperature. So taking into account the whole of the UK's carbon footprint here and overseas as well, recognising the damage that we do through the goods we import and export. Although climate change is something that's perceived to be happening in other countries and it's quite sort of delocalised from us here, we can still see the effects of what's happening. Like, for example, just standing here on the cliffs overlooking St Ives Bay, just below me on the cliffs here, there's a huge rock slide where half of the cliff just fell away about 5 years ago. And so much of the coastline and the landscape has changed even since I've just been alive.
We've seen floods, droughts, cliff falls, more erosion. Climate change, it's already here and it's affecting Cornwall.
As our country is involved in the G7 summit and is hosting it this year, I think it's really important that we take a bigger international stance on climate change and understand that it's something that can't be airbrushed or ignored anymore, and it's something that needs to be addressed urgently.